like knowledge and history that we celebrate by getting drunk. You know what I'm saying? People don't even realize like the symbolism of St. Patrick in Ireland, you know?
Yeah. Well, yeah, like I was saying, my father's mother, my grandmother, is like a immigrant from Ireland, like straight off the boat. And what a lot of people don't know, and what they don't really teach you in American public schools, but you know, you can fact check it with Google and everything, is that before there were really popularized African slaves, there were popularized Irish slaves. And essentially, they ended up wiping out, they say, somewhere between a third and a half of the population of Ireland themselves. Just kind of tearing the families apart, murdering, like raping, pillaging the women, and just like, you know, just completely destroyed it and took a bunch of Irish people for slaves. Before like the African slave drive and the trade triangle and the golden triangle and everything like that, which is pretty crazy. Just the things that kind of get washed up in our history that, you know, they don't teach you in public schools out here. People don't even think about stuff like that.
Yeah, man, you're exactly right. And, you know, I know I said it very poorly. I'm running off a little sleep when I was talking about the snake and the eagle and stuff like that. But that's exactly what I mean. Like, that's why it was so cool for me personally to hear about is, you know, it's just because like what you said, there's, you know, can you imagine the amount of history that we don't know of, like the real shit, like the library underneath the Vatican, you know what I'm saying? Like that's not even, it's not conspiracy. You can go on YouTube and type that shit in, like fucking, you know, Discover Channel or Discover or whatever. They'll do shit on that.
Yeah.
Interesting stuff, man.
I mean, the knowledge that they, you know, have control of and must have been hiding for years is just stuff that would, you know, blow a person's mind, I'm sure. It's crazy. The Catholic Church is, people are always like, oh, Catholic and Christian Church, and they think, you know, they've got such strong moral, stuff like that. But it's like, if you go back in history, you know, the Roman Catholic Empire, they've actually had the most bloodshed out of, you know, any empire that's ever been known. So it's pretty crazy.
Well, I won't even begin to dive into that right now, but it's almost pretty evident from surface level, but especially if you look into it, that it's almost as if they're like a satanic cabal that's under the veil of Christianity. Basically, they're like acting like they're, you know, like, oh, we're these innocent people, but really, like you're saying, they cause so much bloodshed and the fucking all the molestation, man. And that kind of sums it up right there. I mean, you know what I'm saying? You can't fucking say that like, oh, we're better than thou and like we talk to God and shit like that, you know, when it's not one, it's not two, and it's not even like it's hundreds. I mean, it is thousands. But the thing that makes it even worse is when they get caught, all that happens to them is they just get moved to another fucking place.
Yep.
And they're able to, you know, so, and, you know, you guys listening, like, I was raised, you know, in a Christian conservative family, just like we talked about on that episode with you, me, and JJ. So, I mean, like, it's not that, you know, I'm not like bashing Christian or not even Christian. I'm talking about Catholics, but I'm not bashing people that are religious, you know.
No.
It's just that you really need to actually look around and see what's going on. But
no, I mean, I completely agree. There are people, I mean, in the same, like I said, I was raised Catholic, confirmed, everything like that. I don't mean to bash, you know, any kind of organized religion. If that's what gets you through the day, you know, if you can put all your belief in something, you know, more power to you. I applaud you, you know. I'm jealous there personally, you know. I'm agnostic. I kind of lean on, you know, logic and say, you know, I don't know if there is or isn't anything there. But basically just like, yeah, you know, don't bash any religion. I think people even, like kind of how you say Satanism, people think, oh, Satan is an evil, blah, but a lot of people don't realize is like practicing Satanists nowadays go by the Satanic Bible, which is written by Anton LaVey. Mm-hmm. And basically all that is people who are like obsessed with like materials, you know, making as much money as they can at any cost, things like that. Like, yeah, it's not necessarily, you know, great concepts and, you know, not necessarily going to instill positive morals in people, but it's not like what people think. Like people are like, oh, satanic ritual sacrifices. It's like, no, it's not really like that.
No, here's the thing though, man. This is where it gets confusing with Satanism specifically. So, for one, um, basically it's like there's multiple different types essentially of what people call it. You know what I mean? So for example, there actually are ritual aspects to it. I'm pretty sure it's in the second half of the satanic Bible or whatever. And the only reason I say that is because I have a friend who he's self-proclaimed Satanist. And what you were talking about with the materialism, or basically it's about indulgence and it's about taking what you want. But here's the thing. This is where I asked him, basically, and I showed the fallacy in it. I was like, okay, so you're saying that you're talking about, like, indulgence and, taking whatever you want. So I'm like, what if I wanted to indulge in raping or heroin or something like that? You know what I'm saying? Like, that doesn't make sense. That's not.
Well,
so that's where I don't understand that aspect of it. And then there really are, people that do the sacrifice shit too. I think it's just hidden under the same name,
Yeah, I think most of that stuff is usually related to like hoodoo and voodoo, a lot of like Haitian religions and stuff like that. I'm not super positive on it. I'm sure there are some people who claim to do it under like Satanism and stuff like that, but that's usually like outliers and kooks rather than like people who are actually into the organized satanic religion. Like I said, like I'm agnostic, which means like I don't know if there's a God. I don't know if there's a Satan. I don't know if none of it exists. It pretty much is just like, I'm not sure.
That's a smart man right there to admit that they don't know. You know what I'm saying? And that's honestly the truth. No one does know. And it's actually, when I was kind of leaving the whole, religion thing, I'm spiritual now. Like I do think there's something more, but I don't subscribe to any religions because, the bloodshed and shit like that. But I would always tell people, like when I was talking to Christians about, if they would ask me what I believed, the word blasphemy is basically like thinking that you understand the power of God. You know what I'm saying? So it's like blasphemy to even basically for you to think that you know what is correct is blasphemy.
That's true. That's very true. Kind of also one of our topics that we had written down, which like we can kind of loosely tie to this conversation, is like ghosts and aliens. Kind of, I feel like all that stuff can kind of be tied together as far as like a spiritual plane, I guess you'd call it. Personally, I love to believe in things that are out of this realm or out of this world or things that people think aren't possible. I don't necessarily. A lot of people are full of crap is the problem. So like when you hear these stories of people like, oh, I'm haunted by a ghost and it's a poltergeist and they're throwing knives at me and crazy stuff like that, like I don't really go that far with it, but I do believe that, after people die, I feel like especially if it's in like a traumatic or odd way or they feel like they have unfinished business, I feel like, that spirit can kind of stick around for a while. And I think it's also possible maybe sometimes it just happens. Then kind of the same with aliens. Like when you talk to any reputable scientist, like they say, like if you don't, just because of the probability, if you don't believe that there's something else out there, you're just not educated. Usually, But I mean, that's just my opinion on the two. What about you?
Well, have I ever told you about my experiences?
Have you?
I don't know. I didn't. I don't. That's what I was asking. I didn't know. Oh shit! I just saw that you did have this written down. I didn't even see that was in the notes. Okay, so this is where I'm probably going to lose half the listeners. And, but honestly, I really don't care. I never really have cared about what people think, anyways. Which
Same.
is it's great for confidence, and confidence is great for people because people love confident person. And True. It actually makes. Like, I mean, it's kind of arguable, I guess, subjectively. It depends on the person, but it actually makes people more attractive. Like, just the act of being confident can make you more desirable.
To a fault. I mean, I agree with you to a point, but like, if I see like a 600-pound chick walking around and she's all confident, I'm sorry, she's still gross.
Confident in what though? That she's pretty?
Yeah.
Pretty fat.
Exactly.
No, I mean, okay. Look, so you didn't say this, but when I tell other people this, they're always, you don't want to be like cocky. I'm like, no, that's called arrogance. That's not
Yeah,
confidence. Confidence
true.
is when like say if you're a guitarist or a drummer, like, and you know how to play a song, you're not arrogant, like, unless you're fucking shit faced and you want to show off. But usually when you're in a band, like, you don't want to be that guy because a band's like a family, you're all doing it
Yeah.
together. So there's, you don't want to be that guy. But hold on, I gotta get some water. What are we talking about? I got
Your
here.
beliefs for ghost slash
Oh, okay.
alien.
So, crazy shit, man. I've always wanted to believe since I was like 5 or 6 years old. I have a memory of being in the side room at my first house, or the first house I lived at, and this is back in the gateway computer and dial-up days.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting there looking up. Man, I really wish I could remember this website, just because it was one of the OG ones. But I would just always read about ghost things. I'd see the pictures. And I was always interested in, the idea of ghosts or aliens. Me and my mom went to California when I was 11, and I stayed on a haunted cruise ship called the Queen Mary.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
That's so cool. That's so dope. I've always wanted to do that.
Yeah, it's cool, except for like I was never a fan of scary movies. Like I still am not now, but like more so when I was like a kid. And it's cool until you fall asleep and your mom and her boyfriend are fucking passed out while you're awake, and you turn on the TV and it's fucking Hellraiser. Like I couldn't find the remote, and it was like Hellraiser the all night, fucking staying on a goddamn haunted cruise ship, and they're asleep. I'm just thinking I'm going to see something. Okay, so let me stop getting distracted. So stayed on the cruise ship. Really wanted to see something, didn't. So I've always had an open mind and wanted to. I've always wanted to see aliens as well. Now there was what they called a vortex in the pool room, like the room that has the pool. Apparently, there's a little girl ghost that haunts that area that people see or whatever. And there's like an area of the shower that they tell you to put your hand out, and you can. Oh, this is a vortex. Like which. I mean, I don't know, man. I was fucking 11, so who knows if I was just trying to feel. I put my hand out and I thought I felt something, but it could have just been my hand tingle. But okay, so I got the lame stories out of the way. Now let me get to the shit that fucking blew my mind and changed the way I look at life. It's talking about confidence. So I was allegedly, that girl that I was actually talking to you about before the show, was about to get down and dirty, and I went out to my truck at the time. I don't drive a truck now, but a truck, and it was like passed down to me, so I wouldn't choose a pickup truck. Although everyone that went to my high school had a lift kit on their trucks, and
I like them, man. You can use them to make money.
Yeah. I mean, for sure, but it'd be nice to have a truck and a fuel efficient car. But all right, let me not get distracted. So I was going out to my truck to get a condom, and it was nighttime, obviously, because what type of freak fucks in the daytime, unless you're actually attracted to the girl. But so I looked up at the sky. And just because, I mean, I've always loved looking at the stars, nothing paranormal. I just always like looking at the constellations and shit and nature. So I look up at, I'm right at the truck, about to put my key in the keyhole. And I look up to, look at the day because there's no clouds. And I see a shooting star, but then it stops in the middle of the sky. And then when it stopped, I got the chills on the back of my neck, and then it took off. That was the crazy thing. So it looked like a shooting star, stopped, and then took off.
Yeah.
So that's
pretty nuts.
That was my first experience. I was by myself, which now I know what it feels like, because, even to this day, after telling you that, I still don't believe people when they tell me, what I'm saying? Because I'm like, this dude is just wants attention. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't maybe it's trust issues,